You've probably heard people talk about rare personality types. But what if the way your personality works isn't just rare, it's nearly invisible to most people? You see through things others miss. You feel more than you can explain. And you've never quite fit in, even when you tried your hardest. Carl Jung spent his life studying personalities like this, ones that weren't just intelligent or sensitive, but wired for something deeper, something more symbolic, more honest, more awake. If the next 7 signs resonate with you, there's a real chance you're not just different. You might have one of the rarest psychological blueprints. You don't just notice what's happening, you notice what's behind what's happening. Someone says they're fine, and your brain instantly goes, nope. You catch micro-expressions, feel emotional tension shift mid-conversation, and often know what someone's going to say before they say it. Not because you're psychic, but because your mind constantly tracks patterns beneath the surface. Jung described this as introverted intuition, a rare and powerful cognitive orientation where insight bubbles up, not from logic or evidence, but from the unconscious. It's like your system is wired to receive internal downloads, images, insights, symbolic meanings that tell you more than what's being said. You've likely felt both gifted and cursed by this, because while others are content with face value, you live in subtext, and once you see it, you can't unsee it, even if it complicates your relationships or leaves you doubting yourself. This isn't about being clever or emotionally manipulative. It's about being unable to look away from what's real, even when no one else sees it yet. Most people see solitude as quiet time. You see it as mental repair. You can enjoy people. You can even love being around them. But too much social interaction feels like a slow fraying of your nervous system. It's not about introversion alone. It's about processing overload. When you're around others, your mind doesn't just track conversation. It picks up energy shifts, underlying motives, unsaid thoughts, awkward power dynamics, and social expectations, all at once. And afterward, you need space, not to escape people, but to reassemble yourself. Jung believed some personality types were oriented toward the inner world, where the unconscious speaks in symbols, dreams, images, and quiet knowing. These types aren't withdrawing to avoid life, they're withdrawing to listen. If you've ever disappeared for a weekend just to feel real again, that's not dysfunction. That's how your mind resets. That's how it returns to signal and sheds the noise. And without it, you begin to blur. You start saying yes when you mean no. You start mirroring people's energy instead of connecting with your own. Solitude isn't selfish. For rare personalities, it's where the soul exhales. Somewhere deep down, you've always felt like you were playing a part that didn't quite fit. You did what you were supposed to. You showed up, followed the script, learned how to function. But even when life looked normal on the outside, something on the inside felt out of sync. You were watching life, not fully in it. Not because you didn't care, but because you were processing it through a completely different lens. Jung described this sensation as the result of being psychologically out of phase with one's environment. Rare personality types often operate with internal frameworks shaped by archetypes, symbolism, and internal meaning structures, not cultural norms. This leads to a quiet, ongoing question. Why does everyone else seem so okay with this? You've probably felt like the outsider even in a room full of friends. You laugh at the jokes, you play the role, but afterward, you feel drained. Not because you were fake, but because your real self was never in the room. And over time, that wears on you. Because the more you suppress your real lens on the world, the more disconnected you become. Not just from others, but from your own truth. Your emotions don't just pass through. They move in, unpack boxes, and, well, renovate entire wings of your psyche. When you love, it's overwhelming. And when you're hurt, it echoes for months. When something moves you, whether it's music, film, nature, or even a stranger's pain, you feel it almost like a physical experience. Jung believed emotions were living symbols, messages from the unconscious trying to reveal what we aren't seeing yet. And some personality types, especially rare ones, have no choice but to feel them fully. You might cry easily, sure, but it's not just about crying. It's about feeling with depth, and not just your own emotions. You absorb others too. Sometimes, you walk away from a conversation carrying someone else's pain. This emotional ecosystem makes you deeply empathetic, but it also makes you prone to emotional fatigue, chronic overwhelm, and even psychosomatic stress if you don't create space for yourself. People might tell you you're too sensitive, but you know the truth. Your feelings don't make you fragile. They make you awake. You've probably had a moment in your life, or, honestly, several, where everything looked good on the outside, but felt totally wrong on the inside. Maybe you were in a relationship that made sense on paper, or working a job that paid well, but made your chest feel hollow, or living a life that other people envied, but deep down, you felt off. You couldn't really explain it, but you knew something wasn't aligned. Jung referred to this as a disconnection from the self, the deep, integrated center of who we are. When we live out of step with the self, we start to feel like we're betraying something sacred inside. Rare personality types can't tolerate that kind of betrayal for long. Even if they fake it for years, eventually it erupts. Through depression, existential crisis, burnout, or just an inner compulsion to change everything. You're not chasing happiness, you're chasing coherence. And when something aligns, even in the smallest way, you feel it like a full-body yes. That obsession with meaning, it's not a phase, it's your compass. And following it doesn't make you irrational, it makes you intact. You've worn the mask, and maybe you still do, but you're starting to feel it crack. You know how to be likable, how to blend in, how to suppress the thoughts, emotions, and opinions that might make people uncomfortable. But every time you do, you feel a little more invisible. Jung called this the conflict between persona and self, between the social mask we wear to survive and the true self we keep hidden to stay safe. Rare personality types feel this conflict acutely. They are often too self-aware to fully believe in the roles they play, and too emotionally intelligent to just opt out without consequence. So they carry that weight, the tension of being two people, until something breaks, and the real self starts pushing through. Maybe you've noticed this already. You're getting bolder, you're craving truth. You're starting to say things out loud you once only whispered in journals. This is not a crisis, it's a return, a rebellion against the dilution of your identity. And it's one of the clearest signs that your personality is not built for conformity. It's built for authenticity. If any part of this feels like someone just read your diary out loud, you're in the right place. This channel isn't about labels or flexing how rare you are. It's about giving language to the quiet things you've always felt, but never knew how to say. So if you want more content like this, where depth psychology meets real-life self-understanding, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. You don't have to hide how you think. You just have to understand it. You're fascinated by things that make other people uncomfortable, not because you enjoy darkness for its own sake, but because you're looking for the truth beneath it. While others avoid asking why did they do that. After watching the news, you rewind the scene and try to understand the psychology behind it. You want to know why people lie, why they cheat, why they betray themselves, why someone could smile at you while secretly feeling empty inside. And it's not because you're trying to be edgy or morbid. It's because surface-level answers never satisfied you. You've always had the sense that there's something deeper running the show. Jung believed that rare personality types are often drawn to the unconscious, not just personal, but collective. The darker corners of the psyche, the things society hides, represses, fears. And while most people build their lives to avoid those shadows, you're walking straight into them with a flashlight. You're the kind of person who asks why you feel so conflicted in moments that are supposed to be happy, who notices subtle emotional manipulations in conversations other people call normal. You've probably even been told you overthink things, or that you ruin the moment. But what they don't see is that you're not trying to ruin anything. You're trying to free yourself from falsehood, from illusion, from inherited beliefs that were never yours to begin with. This trait is closely tied to what Jung called shadow work, the willingness to face the parts of ourselves we've disowned, He said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that's what you do, not just internally, but in your relationships, your worldview, your art, your humor. You don't fear discomfort, you mine it for meaning. You don't flinch at contradictions, you explore them until they make sense. You may have spent years thinking something was wrong with you because you couldn't just let things go or stay positive. But now you're starting to see this trait, this compulsion to look deeper, is not a flaw, it's a signal that your personality was built for integration, not avoidance, that you were never meant to skim the surface of life. You're not content with easy answers. You want to know what's underneath, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts, because that's where the real transformation begins. Jung believed the rarest personality types weren't just born different. They were born with a task to evolve consciously, to not only navigate the world, but to transform how they relate to it. And for that, life will test you in ways that others don't experience. You might feel like everything hits you harder: heartbreak, career detours, existential dread, even joy. But Jung believed that transcendent function, the ability to hold opposites and grow through them, was the mark of a rare and evolving personality. This means you don't just bounce back from pain, you restructure yourself around it. You don't just adapt to change, you let it shape your next version. You don't just heal, you integrate. It's exhausting at times, and lonely, but it's also what makes your journey meaningful. You're not just rare because of how you think or feel. You're rare because of what you're becoming, and that's what Jung meant by becoming whole. You've made it this far, so here's the real question. Did Carl Jung actually say, you're one of the rarest personalities alive? Not exactly. In his 1921 book, Psychological Types, Jung proposed that people experience the world through 4 psychological functions: thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. And each of these could be oriented either inwardly, that is, introverted, or outwardly, extroverted, giving us 8 total types. Introverted intuition, or Ni, was covered in sign number 1, sign number 3, and sign number 5. Deeply symbolic, visionary, often alienated. Jung saw Ni as rare and deeply misunderstood. Extroverted feeling, or Fei, shows up in sign number 6, where you suppress your real self to maintain social harmony. Introverted thinking, or Tai, is central to sign number 2, where people shut down to process internally. Introverted feeling, or Phi, is key in sign number 4 and sign number 6. Powerful inner values and unspoken emotional depths. Extroverted intuition, or Nei, is lightly present in sign number 5, chasing possibilities and future outcomes. Extroverted sensing, or Si, is briefly acknowledged as the opposite of most signs presented, focused on external reality, action, and immediacy. Extroverted thinking, or T, is not a focus in this video, but linked to outward logic, structure, and results, often misunderstood by Ni-dominant types. Introverted sensing, or Psi, less relevant here, but common in those drawn to tradition, routine, and memory-based thinking. Jung didn't rank these types by rarity, but he did suggest that Ni, introverted intuition, was the most mysterious. Today, modern MBTI research considers INFJ and INTJ, the 2 types with dominant Ni, to be the rarest overall, together making up less than 4% of the population. So if parts of this video felt like someone finally explained you, you may not just be different. You may be carrying the very cognitive architecture Jung spent his life trying to map. A personality designed to see what others miss, to feel what others fear, to hold a mirror to the unconscious. That's not weird, that's rare.